guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hi guys, I'm back and it is Saturday, January 5th, and it is 5:43 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we do have Q posts to go over today, so that is awesome because I know we have all been waiting with bated breath for Q to post. So let's get right into it. I do have a lot to cover tonight, not just here with this post, but also I've got some Q-related news, and I would like to get to the notebook tonight as well. I meant to get to it last night, but in looking through it, I realized that I needed to feel a bit more comfortable with the material before I present it. So that's what is happening with that. Now, let's get right into this. So this is the post from today, and Q is making reference to a post from November 30th. And of course, there's no hope in us being able to see this here. So I'm going to take you out to the actual Q board and we'll look at it there because we can make it quite a bit bigger and be able to see what it says. All right, and I know that it's still not probably really clear for some people. I apologize for that. Let me see if I could just make it a little bit bigger. Hang on here. All right, so this is a post, like I said, from November 30th, and it I can't see all of it here, but it has a link to a New York Times article about Trisha Anderson and Charles Newman, the wedding. Remember, I was a little bit confused about that even way back in November because I didn't really understand why Q was bringing it up. But I think that the part that Q is wanting us to pay attention here is the part about Mueller. So it says Kevin Kleinsmith, Tashina Gar, Sally Moyer. How do you ensure those prosecuted, non-military, would receive an impartial judgment based on the rule of law? Think federal judge rulings, obstruction, POTUS granted constitutional authority. How do you ensure the appeals to the U.S. Supreme Court are evaluated impartially? How do you ensure appeals to the U.S. Supreme Court are evaluated impartially based on the rule of law? Think Justice Kavanaugh, 5-4. Military law versus criminal law. Enemy combatant. And of course, remember during the whole Kavanaugh hearing thing, we had Lindsey Graham talking to Justice Kavanaugh about the whole military law thing. And I thought it was a little odd at the time. Well, I didn't. I did think it was a little odd, but I didn't, considering what we already knew, that the military tribunals were coming up. Otherwise, it really wouldn't have made sense. So I think really that was a whole hat tip to the whole Q thing. But anyway, how do you navigate around installed blockade? Now, who is he talking about here? Who is the installed blockade? Well, it's Mueller. Mueller designed to take in evidence needed to expose the deep state. DOJ block Mueller evidence ongoing investigation. So Mueller really was their insurance policy. He was a blockade. He was put there to block anything actually going through. Basically, if he could find something on Trump, fine, but if he found something on anybody else, that would be blocked. So Mueller designed to limit POTUS' ability to maneuver. Mueller designed to stall for time until midterm elections to terminate all House, Senate ongoing investigations. Mueller designed to safeguard Democratic Party base, false narrative regarding Russia collusion, POTUS cheated, evil sky falling, in effort to divide and mobilize for future protests, riots, threats, violence, false flags, etc. Mueller designed to provide fake news with ammunition to sway public opinion, obstruct foreign and domestic agenda, fuel impeachment/removal, fuel anti-POTUS division, prevent unity, etc. Mueller designed to demonstrate to foreign players that the old guard still pulls the strings. Mueller designed to mobilize Democratic Party for midterm vote win. Mueller designed to push Democratic Party backers to donate, GoFundMe, Democratic Party. Mueller designed as a public outcry excuse should criminal charges be brought against them. We are being politically attacked because of Mueller. And you know that that is exactly what they would say if there were any charges brought against them. They would say, well, this is just backlash for investigating POTUS because, we know that he is the guilty party, which, of course, he isn't. So how do you remove installed blockade? Well, that is the question, isn't it? D-class. So obviously, Q is telling us that the D-class will remove Mueller. How do you navigate around installed corrupt FBI and DOJ? Use a stealth bomber. Who must authorize firing of FBI, DOJ officials? Why did McCabe try to take Sessions out? And it would be Sessions at that time that would have authorized the firing of FBI and DOJ officials. Why did McCabe try to take Sessions out? Well, I think that is pretty obvious in hindsight. What was the Sessions Senate confirmation vote? 52-47. Number 175, logical thinking versus clickbait Q. So that is the drop that he is referring to. Now let's go back and see what he is adding to that. And it is this. He leads us next to a Twitter account for Brit Hume. Now let's go down and see that first of all. And it is here. I've clipped this out for us to save a little bit of time. Now, this says, on the record denials, this sweeping and emphatic apparently caused some journalists not to write this story. This is very badly written for a journalist. This sentence doesn't make any sense, but okay, I'll overlook it. The McClatchy guys went with it anyway, despite their sources' refusal to be specific about what exactly was being investigated. Now, what's he talking about? He's talking about this story right here, Cleta Mishel McClatchy email correspondence. Now, we're going to look at that in a minute because I did pull it up and I did look through it, and I think that it would behoove us to really pay attention to this because it shows in a way that very little else does how these media people operate. And let's go back up. So we're gonna come back to that. Hang on. Now this is the Twitter account that he wanted us to pay attention to, and then he asks us, what happens when all insiders know the news is fake? Well, I think probably we're there already, don't you think? That would be my assumption, that we're there already, that most insiders know that the news is fake. What happens when all insiders know Adam Schiff is the leak of false data? Well, they might be a little upset with that, don't you think? Especially if they know the news is fake and they're getting fake information from Adam Schiff, then shame on them. But if some of them believe that they are reporting the truth because of leaks that Adam Schiff has given them, which are indeed false, then I guess that's a lesson hard learned for them. What happens when a member of the House Intel Committee purposely leaks fake and false data to friendly news sources in order to maintain and portray a false narrative to the public? Now, Q is telling us here exactly what's happened. Adam Schiff has leaked fake and false data to friendly news sources that would be, agreeable to such an arrangement, that wouldn't, that would feel that was okay for them to publish that, whether or not it was verified as true, I guess maybe they would just assume that it was true, or maybe they knew full well it wasn't true and published it anyway, which is what I suspect, because I don't believe that CNN and some of these news outlets have any integrity whatsoever. So that's exactly what Q is telling us has happened here. How do you build a case against a member of the House Intel Committee if they themselves have access to the intelligence? Well, very carefully, I would assume, very carefully. Tea is absolutely delicious. Canadians love their tea, even Canadians that consider themselves American. All right, so how do you build a case against a member of the House Intel Committee when they themselves have access to the intelligence? Well, very carefully, what critical mission did Sessions publicly announce regarding the leaks? We're going to take a look at that in a minute. Why did Sessions make this public? Well, I think that Sessions probably made it public that he was going to go after the leakers for two reasons. Probably, number one, to put the news outlets on notice that he knew that things were being leaked to them. And number two, to put the dirty, nasty little leaker on notice as well. And I'm sure that there were many other leakers as well, but I think that a lot of them have been dealt with. I think a lot of those leaks have been dealt with, and now Q is coming around to this. So, optics are important. Control of the narrative. Truth and transparency is the only way forward. Mueller deleted critical text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Now, he asks that as a question, but we know that usually when he's asking a question, he is actually making a statement. So Mueller did delete critical text messages between the two lovebirds. Mueller designed to, and we just read that, right? We just read that from the drop that he alluded to from the 30th of November. We read that Mueller was installed to be a blockade, an insurance policy. And so he was designed to be an insurance policy, be a blockade. The Mueller insurancy policy has expired. Q. Okay, well, that is good news, isn't it? That is good news. Now, we haven't seen the evidence of that yet with our eyes, but we can expect to. Within the next several days, weeks, whatever, we're gonna see that, yes, indeed, the Mueller insurance policy, the Mueller blockade has been dealt with. All right, now, in terms of the Sessions question, I just clipped a few things here. I just did a Google search, and Sessions says he's aggressively going after leakers. That was February 18th, almost a year ago, and that was from the New York Times. And another headline, Jeff Sessions, we're investigating 27 leaks of classified information. That was on money.cnn.com. That was November 14th, 2017. And this, Attorney General Sessions hails aggressive campaign against leaks. That was October 18th, 2018. And Jeff Sessions, classified information leaks fueled by animosity toward, and we don't have the whole, I didn't think it's necessary for us to look at all this, just to know that these were all over the headlines. And I think that you would have had to have been living under a rock not to know that, or living in Iraq, not to know that, Sessions was aggressively dealing with these leakers. And this last one, leak investigations rise 800% under Jeff Sessions, the Daily Beast. And that was from November 14th, 2017. So we know that that's what he was doing. He was dealing with the leaks, and you had to stop those leaks first. So anyway, and we looked at the Brett Hume. Now, let's look at, which I alluded to, and I said that we would come back to this, the tweet by Brett Hume actually led to a Scribd.com documents, and let's go out and take a look at those. Let me find the link here. And it's right here. I think that this is important because it shows us, it's a demonstration, so to speak, of how they operate, the media, with their little leaks. All right, now, this is email documentation of emails between Cleta Mishel and McClatchy. Now, who are these people, first of all? Because I know these names did not sound familiar to me, so let's see. So I'm assuming that they may not be familiar to you either, or they may. But let's go up and see who these people are first. Okay, Cleta Mishel, she is an American lawyer, politician, and conservative activist. She was elected in 1976. Mishel served in the Oklahoma House of Representatives until 1984, representing District 44. Now, also, Cleta Mishel was an attorney at the NRA, the National Rifle Association, and was there until, I think, 2012 or 2013. I think it mentions it in the email, but so I'll be corrected when we read that. So that is who she is. And who is McClatchy? Well, it is a publishing company. The McClatchy Company is a publicly traded American publishing company based in Sacramento, California, and incorporated in Delaware. It operates 29 daily newspapers in 14 states and has an average weekly circulation of 1.6 million and Sunday circulation of 2.4 million. Okay, now these are emails between the McClatchy Company and Cleta McNeil, is that her name? Mishel, maybe. Sorry, forgot her name already. Cleta Mishel, okay? So email communication between those two, and specifically two reporters from this McClatchy company. So let's look at this now. Let's go back out and take a look at this. And here they are. And this is from March 14th, 2018. All right. Communications to Peter Stone. He is one of the journalists, okay? On Wednesday, March 14th, 2018, read from bottom. This is the first knowledge that I had been included in the Adam Schiff report. So again, a little Adam Schiff coming up again. And we will find out that, this person was included in that report, but it was false information, and it was reported to this by these reporters. It was false news. It was fake news. All right, let's go. To Peter Stone from Cleta Mishel. Now, again, Peter Stone is the journalist. Background today as early as possible with McClatchy. McClatchy's the company that Peter Stone works for. Well, that's at least something that they didn't leak it. But if talking to me is something they think is even of interest, it just underscores that they are grasping at straws. And this is Cleta McNeil talking. They have nothing. There is nothing. Cleta McNeil, Esquire, sent from my iPhone. Now, let's go down. I'll try to read through these quickly, but I think it's important. And obviously, if Q brought it up, it is important. On March 14th, 2018, at 1:37 p.m., Peter Stone wrote, "Thanks. FYI, the Democrats didn't leak this document to me and other reporters, but publicly released a report Tuesday, which I thought you might have heard of, on various outstanding questions and areas they wanted to pursue as part of their probe into Russian meddling in the elections." So this report was the Adam Schiff report that they were referring to, which contained false, fake, and misleading information. On Wednesday, March 14th, 2018 at 1:07, Cleta Mishel wrote, "No, I have no knowledge of anything like this and zero concerns whatsoever about anyone, Russians or otherwise, who funneled funds through the NRA." So this is what this report, this Adam Schiff report, is alleging, that there was money funneled through the National Rifle Association, which she was at one point a lawyer for or in charge of. I guess we'll find that out later on. I can't remember what her exact position there was, but she was associated, not at this time, this is in 2018, but she had been several years previously involved in the NRA. So this Adam Schiff report was falsely alleging that there was funds that Russians funneled funds through the NRA, which is a flat out lie. Anyone who says otherwise is lying, she says. NRA is meticulous about following all the rules. This is all a complete fabrication, and it is absolutely outrageous that the Democrats are leaking documents to you and other reporters. If they want to talk to me, they are wasting everybody's time and money, but I would be happy to talk to them in order to tell them how offensive and horrible I think they are. You are welcome to quote me that this is all totally ridiculous. You guys are outrageous. Wish all of you would get over your fantasies, get a life, and do something productive and useful. This certainly isn't. So she's giving them a little piece of her mind. On March 14th, Peter Stone replies to her and says, Cleta, we're working on a follow-up report or follow-up story to our earlier reporting regarding the FBI probe into Russian banker and lifetime NRA member Alexander Torshin and whether he may have funneled funds improperly through the NRA or an allied conduit to influence the elections and help Trump win. I've seen your name on a short list of people that the minority on House Intel wants to talk with. Who might shed light on the NRA's relationship with Alexander Torshin? I also have heard from a source I trust that you have expressed concerns to some investigators or people familiar with the probes about the NRA's links to Russia and whether Russian funds could have flowed improperly through the NRA or allied conduits such as LLCs or C4s to influence the elections. Is this basically correct, or can you explain whether you have any concerns about the propriety of Torshin's dealings with the NRA and if he or other Russians might have sent funds via the NRA or conduits that may be illegal? I'd like as much on the record as possible, but if you need to comment some on the background, that's okay. We are trying to do a short piece today, so hope you can reply in the next few hours. If you'd prefer to go over this on the phone and clarify some points on the background or off the record, that's possible. Thanks, Peter. Now, well, let's just go on for now. On Wednesday, March 14th, 11:53 a.m., Peter Stone wrote, FYI, from Cleta Mitchell, date Wednesday, March 14th at 11:50, background today as early as possible with McClatchy to Peter Stone. I'm traveling to Florida and can't really talk today. So this is Cleta telling Peter that she's not available to talk that day. She's traveling to Florida. If you want to send me what you're talking about that references me, I'm happy to review it and get back to you within the next couple days. I actually have no idea what you're talking about, so please send whatever you wish for me to discuss. Thanks, Cleta Mitchell. Now again, they are wanting her to comment on this because she at one point was worked for the NRA. So that is why they're wanting to comment on it. But of course, she hasn't worked for them for a number of years now. So it's really a moot point. But anyway, so she responded that to Peter, and then and then on March 14th at 11:44, Peter Stone replied. He wrote, Hi, Cleta. I'm working on a short piece today that deals with the congressional probes into Russian meddling in the 2016 elections and saw your name on the House Intel document that was released yesterday and have heard other details from sources about your concerns. Can you talk to me briefly on background today, pre or post lunch? Thanks, Peter. And 2 days later, on March the 16th, Cleta responds and she says the following. To Peter Stone, subject, NRA lawyer expressed concerns about group's Russia ties, investigators told. So, hang on here, sorry. So, and she starts getting upset because they misquote her totally. Now, McClatchy, Washington Bureau, Peter, either you get this headline changed or don't ever call me again. This is complete. This is a complete lie. And don't tell me the old, I don't write the headlines. You go tell your editor that this is a lie and you obviously didn't write your lead paragraph correctly. This is fake news and you need to fix it. You better do that. Such lies, such liars, all of you. It is disgraceful. Cleta Mitchell. And again, from Cleta Mitchell to Peter Stone, NRA lawyer expressed concerns about group's Russia ties, investigators told, and that was the headlines, which was clearly false because she did not express any concerns. And yeah, that was her job, NRA lawyer, but she had not worked for them for quite some time, as we will see. McClatchy, Washington Bureau. I am rereading the lead paragraph and you completely lied in that paragraph. You took some unnamed source, you put their false statement as the lead, and you put my truthful on the record statement down in the story as some sort of denial. You are reprehensible. Your tactics are disgusting. Who is your editor? I want this corrected. Now, Cleta Mitchell. And again, on March 16th, Peter Stone wrote, Cleta, just letting you know that we discussed your concerns and are changing the headline at the top of the homepage, tweaking the first sentence and moving up your denial from the 4th paragraph to the 3rd. Peter. On Friday, March 16, Peter Stone wrote, Cleta, we're discussing your concerns now with our editor and we'll get back to you shortly. Peter. On March 16th, Peter Stone wrote, FYI, and then he put from Cleta Mitchell, NRA lawyer, to Peter Stone. Why not the first paragraph? Why not say that I told you there is nothing to this and the House Dems are full of crap to even list me? And how about that? I haven't been involved with the NRA since 2011. Yeah, 2011. That's 7 years ago. And someone, their source, is telling them that, she's got concerns about this so-called Russian funneling funds through the NRA. She hasn't worked for the NRA for 7 years. And if we are to believe Q, which we should, so far anyway, then that person is Adam Schiff. Little Adam Schiff. So, and how about that I haven't even been involved with the NRA since 2011? This is not a story. The only story is the false narrative from the House Dems that you are perpetrating. What's the new headline? I'm not denying. I'm telling you there is no here, or there's no there, here, period. It is a completely false narrative. That better be the upshot of this revised story, that I never, ever expressed any concerns whatsoever because I never had any, ever. Cleta Mitchell, Esquire. And Peter Stone replies on March 16th, Cleta, just letting you know that we discussed your concerns and are changing the headline at the top of the homepage, tweaking the first sentence and moving up your denial from the 4th paragraph to the 3rd. And from Cleta Mitchell to, this is Greg Gordon, and again, that is another person that works for the McClatchy publications, and it says correction demanded, sent Friday, 3rd, 16, 2018. I do not know you. I told Peter Stone that this entire reference to Russia and the NRA is a lie, and I have zero knowledge about it, zero concerns about it. I told him it was preposterous. Then you run a story saying the opposite. You better fix the story. This is an outright lie. Total fake news. Who is your editor? I've never said or even had a thought like this. I've always said the NRA is meticulous about its money and using correct dollars for its expenditures. And anyone who says anything to the contrary is lying. I told Peter Stone that. You run a story with unnamed sources saying otherwise and attribute some concerns to me. I can't believe this. I want this corrected immediately. Take that headline and paragraph out. I want the record. I went on the record. Your sources did not. Where are your journalistic scruples? Where? Where? This is outrageous beyond words. Fix it now. Cleta Mitchell. And Greg Gordon writes back and says, "Hi, Cleta. I did get your message, but Peter is taking the lead on this. I do believe that I phoned you a few decades ago. I've been reporting in Washington for 40 years. I'd love to know how your name has surfaced in connection with the NRA multiple times in these inquiries, and yet you say you've had no connection to the group since 2011. There's a disconnect somewhere, and I'm happy to hear any explanation you may have. Are you saying that you've never done outright legal work for the NRA in the last few years? Did you represent Paul Erickson or his LLC, other NRA allies? We don't make this stuff up, and I trust that you know that. Best, Greg Gordon, national correspondent, McClatchy Newspapers, Washington Bureau." And then Cleta McNeil responds back, "Correction demanded. You made this one up. I know that. You published 100% false story. That's what I know. I have had zero involvement with the NRA since my board term expired in 2012. The reason my name surfaces with regard to the NRA is that every time there's a school shooting and the media feeding frenzy that always follows, reporters I know call and ask me things. I usually am willing to talk to them on the record, just providing some context as to the organization. This particular rumor is completely false. I've never thought for 1 second that the NRA took Russian money in 2016 or at any other time. If someone told me that, I would require proof, as I do not believe that. It would be completely out of character, and one thing that the NRA is consistent, and one thing the NRA is consistent. I have not done legal work for the NRA in more than a decade. I've never represented Paul Erickson. He was retained by a client of mine a number of years ago, probably 10 or 11 years ago, to do some work for the organization, but that was short-lived. As for demanding NRA allies, I would say 99% of my clients are NRA allies who believe in the Second Amendment. So you guys have fed a totally false story, and notwithstanding that I told Peter that in no uncertain terms on Wednesday, you nevertheless ran with the unnamed sources who lied to you, and your story said the opposite of the truth. The exact opposite. Not too impressive. Fake news. Totally false. Very bad work. Worst I've seen in years. Maybe ever since there's not even a kernel of truth in the assertion. Maybe ever since there's not even a kernel of truth in the assertion. Makes me even more aware of what a lying bunch the Adam Schiff and his staff are to perpetuate something like this. Totally irresponsible. All of you. Cleta Mitchell. And then Greg Gordon writes back and says, "Thanks for your reply. We will explore further. Of course, it's possible that the congressional Democrats on the Intel committees manufactured this stuff." Yeah, it's more than possible. That's exactly what they did. Adam Schiff, little Adam lying Schiff. But that has not been their record over the past 15 months. Oh, really? At least from my experience. Well, your experience isn't right then. We pride ourselves on getting our stories right, and we use anonymous sources with great caution. That is why Peter went over this with his sources for days. And of course, your name was on the House list. Do you have any idea why that might have occurred? Could you have expressed something in an email or in a phone call? You have stated that you have done no legal work for the NRA in a decade. Have you done consulting, advisory, or any other type of work for the organization? And if so, during what time span? Have you been involved in meeting or hosting members of Right to Bear Arms, the Russian gun rights group? I don't know you either, Cleta, but I can assure you that we had no agenda in reporting this story and are merely searching for the truth. Right, sure they are. Now, this poor woman is being put on the spot. She hasn't said any of this, but it's being attributed to her, and it doesn't matter what she says, they're not believing her. Anyway, well, Greg, your search for the truth didn't come close to finding it. No, not even close. The answers to all your questions below, no, 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 all no. And I have never, ever, ever said or even thought of any Russia NRA connection. First I ever heard about that was when reporters started calling me, asking me if I knew anything about it. And I started laughing. It is preposterous. Your source is a lying sack of you-know-what. But Here's the really laughable statement. Of course, it's possible that the congressional Democrats on the Intel Committee manufactured this stuff, but that's not been their record over the past 15 months, at least from my experience. That is a bizarre statement. As I said earlier to you and to Peter, I now see firsthand the sick relationship between the media and Adam Schiff. You guys believe anything they say because you want to. For liberals, believing is seeing. Facts and truth do not matter. To the media or to Adam Schiff et al., lies upon lies upon lies. I don't care how many times you ask me. I don't care how you frame the question. I have not had any relationship with the NRA in 6 years. I had zero contact with NRA in 2016 or for almost the 5 years before that. And anyone who says otherwise is lying. And you took the unnamed source, wrote a false lead paragraph, which led to a 100% false headline, and buried the truth down in the story. Very impressive. Cleta Mitchell. On March 16, Greg Gordon writes back and says, okay, we are taking your responses seriously, and please don't brand me a liberal who takes everything that Democrats throw my way at face value. I wrote plenty of stories about Hillary's emails, the Clinton Foundation, and other stories that Democrats hated. A close relative of mine belongs to the NRA, or did, not sure if his membership is current. So it seems clear that you're willing to make false assumptions about me at the same time you're accusing me and my colleagues of disregard for the truth. Why didn't you bring up your disassociation with the NRA when Peter contacted you yesterday? Wasn't that a rather important fact? I'm not seeking to raise the temperature here, Cleta. You don't need any help in that endeavor, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. No, he's not. And this is again from Cleta to Greg Gordon. I wonder why I assume that the working press is liberal. Wonder why I think that. If the shoe does not fit, then I apologize. I just have been watching the Schiff show for more than a year, and I haven't seen much objectivity in the coverage of his antics. Not much objectivity at all. He's held up as some sort of icon, and Devin Nunes is ridiculed. I happen to see things very differently than your media entity has reported this entire story. I find it very disturbing that you guys have joined forces with Schiff against Nunes, and I think that perhaps that willingness to believe that Schiff team is why your story today got it so wrong. The pattern of the reporting is bent towards believing these fake stories that support Schiff's point of or view of the world. I told Peter that there was not a shred of truth to the story. I could not have been more emphatic. I do not lie to journalists. I would not have said it was false if it wasn't. I would have tried to explain it. I did not do that. I said it was not true. I said it is not true. Getting to the bottom of this means asking what else the HSCI Dems have told you or written to you, have told you or written or said to you that is also false. Getting to the bottom of this is asking whether you've been fair and objective to Devin Nunes and his staff, or whether perhaps you've taken everything he says with a bucket of salt while accepting as true everything the Schiff forces say. This story is totally false. I have every reason to believe that much of the rest of what they have to say and what they have said and written is false, totally unreliable. Peter knows I don't have any NRA associations any longer. I told him that before. He's called me over a number of years about NRA. I have told him, as I tell every reporter, that I am no longer on the board and haven't been for several years. I am willing to go on the record with reporters to defend the organization of which I am a lifetime member and to explain how it works, because the organization is always lied about and attacked every time there's a school shooting. I may rethink doing that after this experience. Someone has fabricated this story and pushed it to the committee and to reporters, and you guys fell for it and disregarded what I said. I have had the same response to everyone who has approached me about this rumor, which is that it is a crock. I couldn't have been more emphatic. Other reporters accepted the truth and dropped it, but told me someone was peddling it to them, but they realized it could not be and was not true. Somehow, that wasn't good enough for McClatchy, and for some unknown reason, you ran a story citing an unnamed source who apparently knows more about me than I do. That's what's so mystifying. And if you want to really get to the bottom of this, you should get out get out all your stories about the HSCI investigation, you should go sit down with Nunes and his staff, and you should ask them to go through the stories and point out any falsehoods in the stories. Think about that. I'm betting it would be instructive for everyone. I'm also betting that they've given up trying to get a fair shake. Maybe I'm wrong, but an after action review might be in order here. Cleta Mitchell. And we're getting to the bottom here. On March 16th, Greg Gordon, but our sources say the committee still have questions about reports that you were concerned over the NRA and Russia. I mean, they're not giving that up. So Cleta Mitchell responds to Greg Gordon, correction demanded, but our sources say the committees still have questions about reports that you are concerned over the NRA and Russia. I have never had a millisecond of concern about the NRA and Russia. Your sources are liars, and the committee's staff, the Dems, are also relying on these same liars. If the committee still have questions, I can answer their questions in 4 words. It is not true. Your credible attorney source is an idiot and needs to get his or her facts straight. I haven't represented the NRA as an attorney in at least a decade, so that's even more of a lie. I can't even remember the last time I performed legal services for the NRA. It is well before I left the board years earlier. This discussion makes it worse. The entire Russia collusion narrative is Potemkin village perpetrated by the Democrats to undermine the Trump election and promoted by the liberal media who share the Democrats' antipathy toward Trump and towards those of us who have voted and still support him. What Hillary said last week in India just reflects the general thinking of the left, which is the reason why the country has been so subjected to the whole false Russian collusion story, and why these sources and Democrats on the committees just can't let it go. They cannot and will not admit it is all a hoax. A hoax they perpetrated. Did the Russians try to influence the election? Yes. And what they really have done is push the left button since the election through supporting and pushing the anti-Trump resistance movement, just as the former Soviet Union funded the nuclear freeze movement in the U.S. and in the 1970s and 80s. But there was no Trump collusion in the election, and what the Russians attempted didn't affect the outcome one iota. That's what Schiff and company can't accept. That's why they desperately throw a bunch of names into a report like mine. You should investigate what other false stories are in Schiff's report. Mine can't be the only one. Cleta Mitchell. And Greg Gordon responds, we've tweaked the story, Cleta. You assuredly won't like it, but we're trying to describe your relationship correctly. Again, I very much appreciate the dialogue. I once had dinner with friends of ours, and the NRA treasurer was among the group. It's important for the media to hear from the NRA, which usually doesn't talk to us much, and its supporters, Greg. And Cleta responds, this is exactly why I've always been willing to speak with reporters on the record about the NRA. Since I left the board, I'm free to do that. But after this experience with McClatchy, I'm likely to stop that practice. This whole episode, totally fabricated, has given me reason to believe I've been too open and too helpful, so I doubt I will ever speak again to a reporter about the NRA. This has taught me a valuable lesson about the media, and I'm having to rethink my practice of gradually being willing to speak with any reporter about any topic. I think the world has changed, and it is no longer a good idea for conservatives to just speak openly with journalists. The lines have been drawn, and I am only now realizing that. The fact that, notwithstanding everything I've told Peter and you over the past 48 hours, that you don't just retract the entire story as baseless and apologize for the earlier versions, and that you guys are still trying to salvage lies from anonymous sources, tells me that I can no longer trust that honesty will prevail. I literally have never experienced anything like this. A story without an ounce of truth being disseminated as factual is shocking. Shocking. No more conversations with journalists about the NRA, ever. And I'm going to be very much more guarded about all dealings with reporters on everything from this point forward. Seems as though I have no choice. Cleta. And Greg Gordon and Peter Stone. This was sent to both of them from Cleta. Subject, Google alert. Cleta Mitchell, see what your lies caused. Now the media heard repeats as true, something that never ever happened. This is why people hate the media. Here are some questions for your source. Where did I supposedly express these concerns? To whom? Who all was present? What month? Did your source hear it personally? What were the circumstances? Do I know this person? You get me some details and I promise I can demonstrate the lies you've been told and are spreading. This is 100% false. Yet here it is, repeated everywhere. And you guys are not even the National Enquirer, although it is impossible to discern any difference. Some journalistic ethics. And that was from Cleta Mitchell. And that is the end of them. Oh, wait. Nope, there's one more here. And Greg Gordon wrote the following. I'm afraid I just got your later messages, Cleta. We initially described the timing and connection to your relationship with the NRA inaccurately and corrected it. You did not mention your disassociation with the NRA to Peter on Thursday, and when we fully understood it, we fixed it and changed the headline. I don't understand why you are sending me scathing messages about a story that accurately describes what congressional investigators are looking into. Your denials are prominently and amply included in the story. It was a House report that first lit up your name for the public. I am sorry that you feel aggrieved, Cleta, but as a longtime Washington attorney, you well know how this works. Now you are just shooting the messenger, Greg. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. There's a few more, but I think this gives us a very clear picture of what happened and who the source of these so-called leaks were. This is just one glaring example of that, and how obviously Adam Schiff is not to be trusted, but then we knew that already. All right, let's go back to Q and go on to the next. And it might take me a little while to get up here to the next one. And it is this. So here is the next one, and it is from today. And again, Q is making reference to an earlier post that was actually almost a year ago to the day, minus 2 days. So this was January 7th, 2018. And it says the following: U.S. taxpayers are paying for all of it. Paris Accord equals scam. Trillions. Red Cross equals scam. Billions. Foreign aid equals scam. Trillions. War equals scam. Trillions. On and on. Who audits where the money actually goes? Who actually receives the money? The U.S. taxpayer is funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Slush funds everywhere. Think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket? The hole is deep. Feel sick yet? Q. So Q references that, and then he below references a Twitter account, and it belongs to Donald Trump, and this is it. I went and clipped it out to save us a little bit of time. It says the Democrats want billions of dollars for foreign aid, but they don't want to spend a small fraction of that number on properly securing our border. Figure that one out. And beneath that, Q says 2 days ahead of schedule. Q. So the Democrats want billions of dollars for foreign aid, and up here, what is Q saying? He's saying foreign aid is a scam worth trillions of dollars. So they want to send all of this money over in foreign aid. They want to give this money out, but they don't want to build a wall to protect our border and to protect our national security. Very odd. So Q is saying, okay, this was almost a year ago, and Q is saying 2 days ahead of schedule, because this is what they come up with. They want billions of dollars for foreign aid. Yeah, and where is that money actually going? Probably being laundered, probably going to fund black ops operations, all of that sort, to fund the deep state. Yeah, they're wanting their money to continue their war, but they don't want to protect American people, even though we're the ones that are paying their salary. They don't seem to care about that. And underneath here, this is Donald Trump's tweet, and I noticed here Q. Now, I don't know, I doubt this is the real Q, because Q has always told us that he only communicates through the 8chan. That is his board of official communication, and he does not communicate outside of that. But this person, Q, on Twitter, does retweet everything that Q says, so he reiterates 2 days ahead of schedule, Q. All right, and we're going to go up to the next one now. And it is this. And it starts here, but I have put in a bigger picture here so that we are able to adequately see what Q wants us to see. And of course, we've looked at this many times before. This is the 1933 paramilitary wing of the Communist Party of Germany. And here is the Antifa, the 2017 paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party of America, looking very similar, only that it has been flipped horizontally, and the colors are a little bit different. This flag is black, whereas this one, both are red. But it's basically the exact same insignia or logo. And down here, we have this is the paramilitary wing of the Communist Party, and this is them in action, and this is the paramilitary wing of the Democratic, and this is them in action today. Not a lot of difference, is there? This is them today, this is them back in the 30s. So yeah, and let's come down here, and we've got a Twitter, a link to a Twitter tweet, rather, and we're going to take a look at that now. Well, actually, let's go take a look at this. I thought I'd cut it out, but I didn't. Something that you have to see, actually. It's a short clip. And this is what is going on in Paris, which, amazingly, none of this is being reported in our news, and I would think that this would be all over our news. Let's and this one. So it's obvious that these are a long way from over. And yet, wouldn't you think that this would be on every single news station? I would think that you could just sit there and flick and flick and flick and see the exact same thing on every station. That's what I would think. Isn't this world news? Should be, but it's not. And that's the point that Q is raising. Now, let's go back. And let's go up here. So, Q says, complete blackout by the fake news media. Yeah. Ask yourself why. Well, why? Because they want us to believe that this is over fuel tax. And that is such a minuscule part of it. People are fed up. They are absolutely fed up. Are they afraid of U.S. patriots engaging in the same tactics? They probably are. They probably are. Did the liberal left, the old guard, engage and form organizations as Antifa, such as Antifa, to combat and silence fascism? Any such deviation of the controlled narrative? Yeah, I think so. I think that's what all of these, like Antifa and all of this, that's what that was meant to do. They They literally are guards or guardians of the old guard, guardians of the accepted narrative. Do the actions of those patriots abroad destroy the fake news narrative regarding the majority agree with the politics of the liberal left? Well, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Because they would like us to believe that we are the odd ones out, that nobody thinks like us conservatives, that the majority of people are thinking like the liberals. But is that true? Obviously not, or you wouldn't have people rioting in France and other places, right? That just makes sense to me. We will not go silent into the night. We will not go without a fight. Do you believe this movement and worldwide events are simply a coincidence? Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. We, the people. We, the people, have the power. Executive order active. Where we go one, we go all. Q. And the executive order he's talking about is the one that went active on midnight on December 31st and was active then for January 1st. It's the one where they can seize assets of those people who have engaged in trafficking or narcotics or any activity such as that. So that is what he is talking about there. Now, let's go. I can't remember if this is the last one or not. No, it's not. We have one more. And this will bring us up to date with the Q post, unless Q has continued to post, and that is completely possible. If he has, I will try to bring you those tonight. If Q continues to post tonight, I will try to bring those to you later tonight. But this will catch us up completely to where the posts are at this time. So let's take a look at this. And we've looked at these pictures before. Again, I have made them a little bit bigger, so you guys on your smartphones can see them. But it's a picture of President Trump. Well, at this point, he wasn't president, but he is meeting with Jesse Jackson and I'm not sure who all. But this is of the Rainbow Street Project. And here he is again. And here. Oh, gosh. That's not Jesse Jackson. This is Jesse Jackson. Oh gosh, I should know his name. I hate that. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, so he's got these pictures of him there. He obviously had a very good relationship. He was never considered a racist before he ran for president, of course. But then all of a sudden, they went with that narrative because it just seems to work. Do you notice any similarities? Democrats attempt to turn the public against our police, ICE, and those who continually serve the public interest, protect. Open borders with no immigration and custom officials to safeguard the people. That's what they want, right? They want open borders with no immigration and customs officials to safeguard us. EU government attempt to turn the police against the people regarding yellow vest protests, and that is what they're doing. They're trying to turn the police against the people, and I've seen many videos of the police beating the people, and in fact there was a headline today about four policemen manhandling a 13-year-old yellow vest woman, girl really, and so that's exactly what they're doing. Police versus people. EU. Democrats attempt to sway public versus police, ICE, US. And I think that he's showing these pictures of himself with, black politicians and so forth and black influencers because, he was always for them, but of course they turn the narrative. It doesn't suit their narrative, so they're going to turn it just the way they are with the ICE, the police, all that, immigrations, customs, all that. A war against globalism, and that is exactly what we're in, a war against globalism. It's a war to retain sovereignty. Yeah, these nations want to retain their sovereignty, and they're sick to death of all of this migration. forced upon them. A war against globalism, a war to retain sovereignty, divide those who police and safeguard against the people they are sworn to protect. Chaos. Yeah. That's what they're trying to ensue, is that's what they're trying to incite, is chaos. Make the people fight themselves versus the original targets, the old guard. And isn't that what they're doing by pitting us black against white? Why are we fighting? We're all American. We're all American. We all have the same dreams. We all have, we all want to go to work. We all want to make a wage. We all want to make a home. We all want to have a wife, a husband, children, a dog, a cat. I mean, we all want to have the American life, right? Why? We're not that different. We are not that different. But they want us to fight each other. They want us to fight each other. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Now, fake news, push of racism, fascism, sexism, every other ism, etc., against those seeking to end globalism in favor of nationalism, pride of heritage and culture, preservation and security, safety, is designed to keep you submissive. Yes, and that's exactly what they're doing by all this sexism, all these isms. He's right. That's exactly what they're doing. It's designed to keep us submissive. Why do the Democrats deploy and use racism as their go-to tactic? Because it works. When an argument or narrative cannot factually be substantiated, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard when you call somebody a racist, it makes it almost impossible for them to defend that. Because you can call President Trump a racist, everything he does, oh, he's racist. Well, how do you defend against that? How do you? What do you say? Well, I'm not racist. Oh, that means you're even more racist. It's ridiculous. POTUS and black community pre-candidacy, POTUS and black community post-candidacy, there's no change. There's no change. He's done more for the black population than any other president before him. Reconcile. Well, it can't be reconciled because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. They want you divided, controlled, submissive sheep. Posse Comitatus Act. Q. Now, in case any of you are unaware of what the Posse Comitatus Act is, it is a federal statute prohibiting the use of military in civilian law enforcement. So, not sure why he is bringing this up in this manner, to tell you the truth. Not sure. Anyway, that is it for the Q posts for today. Now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a Q-related news because there's a lot of it and it's stuff that I think I should get out there. So I will be back. I'm going to go and upload this, and I hope in the meantime you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe and stay blessed, and I will see you guys real soon. Thanks so much.